everybody. This is Zaria here. Good to see you here. I am coming to you to share some things about inner child work and to answer your questions on inner child work. I was sitting a few months ago and noticed that I was feeling quite, I wouldn't say dead in myself, but feeling disconnected. And I realized that I hadn't done anything to do with my inner child. And I created with my Restore membership a workshop on meeting your inner child. And I noticed how much I came to life. And not everybody has ever heard of inner child work or even knows what it is. If you've got any questions about inner child work, come and share in the comments. I am going to be running a training next week. I'll just share it there with you, called The Love You Needed, Reparenting You Now, for those of you who are wanting support. And I will put that in the comments too, so it's easily, you can come easily. But I wanted to share with you what is inner child healing work, so that for those of you who are on this journey, you're able to connect with yourself, love yourself. So let's look at why inner child work is so important. As you do it, you grow in more confidence, more connection, and gain more creativity. You feel more alive to yourself, and you help to process the beliefs inside of you that were programmed into you as a child. But often what happens is that people leap into in inner child work going to their most or their worst moment in life. And then they get re-traumatized, overwhelmed, and they just can't cope. So what's really important is to do it in a trauma-informed way. What does that look like? You first stabilize yourself, then you process what's there, and then there's integration. So again, if you want to do inner child work in a trauma-informed way, you want to first stabilize, then process what's there, and then do integration. Because if you don't stabilize and then you try to process, you'll just get overwhelmed, immobilized, and stuck. So let's look at what stabilization is. Stabilization means getting yourself safe, feeling protected, and able to regulate yourself. So then you've got the emotional capacity to be able to hold space for your big feelings. In order to do this, you need to grow the skills of regulation, empathy, and support. These are skills that I teach in my Restore membership if you're wanting a community to do that in. And these help you to grow the capacity for empathy and nurturing and compassion towards yourself, as well as growing this loving witness towards yourself. Because for many of us, certainly me, is that when I described to anybody what was happening to me as a child, I was dismissed, I was bypassed, I was ignored, I was told that I should just be happy and nice and not express things. And I didn't have somebody as a loving witness to say, this happened, it was wrong, you didn't deserve it. And because I didn't have that, I began to think I was bad, and I felt ashamed of who I am, to the point that I said, I don't want to have children because I don't want to bring up any fuck-ups like me. Had I not had a mistake, I wouldn't have kids. So I'm very grateful for that mistake. And I'm very grateful to have finally learned that what happened to me wasn't okay, and that I needed a loving witness who could validate the emotional wounds that I'd gone through and help me to process them. So that's stabilization. And then as we process, we look at what are the toxic beliefs that we developed, like I said, where I believed that I was bad in myself. So identifying and noticing the behaviors that come from this belief that you're bad or there's something wrong with you, and unshaming them so you know you don't deserve that. Oh, my son is just saying that there's a delivery. And so I need to give him the code for the delivery. Here you go. Okay, so then it's unshaming yourself and really know. And once you know that, you can begin to grow the skills that you needed of reparenting to meet your needs. And later on, I'll share with you about Love You Needed Reparenting in our course that we're going to start on Monday. And that helps you to see at every stage of development, your sense of self was growing in a different way, and you needed different parenting techniques to be able to support you. Thanks, babe. To love yourself at that stage so you could grow a healthy self-image, self-concept, self-esteem, self-respect. But if you didn't have that, then there are parts of you that feel disorientated, disconnected, discombobulated because you didn't get that parenting. If you had neglect and nobody was interested in you, then part of your healing journey, your inner child healing journey, is reconnecting with the interests, the hobbies, and your personality. Like, who are you? What do you love? Without your mask of just being fully true to you, what does that look like? And then integrating so that you feel connected to the gifts, to the talents, without any shame of the good and bad in you. So you feel whole and awaken to this inner child inside of you that has its own needs, so that you are no longer repressing and dismissing. So that for me encompasses inner child work. Do you have any questions about it? If you do, let me know in the comments. In next Monday, I'm going to be teaching the stages of development and what you needed at each stage. And if you would like that, then you can get the link in the comments or message me and let me know that you'd like the link, because sometimes Facebook hides links. And I would love to help you on that journey. It's a beautiful journey. So that's for me what inner child work is. But for many people who start to do this work, it's scary because they try to access their inner child, and then what they find is their inner child is hidden, or their inner child is repulsed, or they are repulsed of their inner child. And often we notice that how we were treated as a child impacts the relationship that we have as towards our inner child now. So if we were shamed as a child for who we are, we might feel repulsion towards that inner child. If we were treated like we are bad, we might feel angry towards this inner child for being bad. If we were told we were stupid, we might feel more impatient with ourselves when we get it wrong and belittle ourselves for being stupid. If we were treated like we don't matter, we might cut ourselves off, bulldoze ourselves, disregard ourselves, abandon ourselves, and people please to get scraps of love because we don't feel worthy. If we were flooded as a child, we might demand closeness from other people without care of them because we were used to being flooded without care of ourselves. And so as we notice the relationship that we have to our own inner child, we can see what happened to this little part of ourselves. And then we can slowly grow the skills to give ourselves what we really needed. It gives insight into what needs repair and what skills that we need to be able to face ourselves. If you've got any questions at all about inner child work, do let me know in the comments, and I will and I'll answer you as soon as I am done. What really helps and what has helped me is doing little inner child meditations. If you didn't see last week, I did an inner child meditation of teaching people how to get safe. I'll show you the link if you want to get that. It's restoring.love/ICM. And that the meditations help you to get safe. They help you to learn a sense of protection of yourself. And then they also help you to rescue you from parts of your life that were not healthy for you. And that really helps to cherish and honor who you are. When I do the meditations on my own with my own inner child, what I do is I tune in and I connect. What age is this inner child? Maybe you want to do it now with me. As you tune into yourself, and you might want to close your eyes, and you might want to just go, how old do I feel right now? For instance, I had a client who said that I could share this. I wrote it up and I sent it to her before I shared it, and she loved seeing herself on paper. And what happened with her is that every time she went into the world, she felt that everybody was blanking her. And I said, they're just strangers going about their day. But when you were younger, did your mom blank you? And she was like, my mom blanked me all the time. She didn't want me around. And I said, oh, so now you wanting strangers to affirm and welcome you because you didn't get that from her. What if we tune into you? And when we looked at her, we could see this little baby inside that so badly wanted somebody to smile at them, love them, welcome them, and cherish them. So as we tuned into that little baby, we could say, hello and welcome. And so now when she leaves the house, she can tune into her little baby and say, I'm here for you. I'm so glad you're here. And that's helped her stabilize because she's not looking to random strangers who aren't always healthy to give her that validation and care. So if you find yourself in a tricky situation or a place where your boundaries aren't being honored or where you are feeling unloved, check in and see, how old do I feel right now? What age am I feeling? Sometimes I might say to my kids, I feel really small. I feel like a 2-year-old. And they'll go, what happened? What made you feel 2? And then I'll say, I'd arranged to meet with my friend and they can't come and I just feel abandoned. And then they can go, oh, that makes sense given what happened when you were that age. And so then I can meet that part of me with empathy. And as you look at that little 2-year-old or 10-year-old or teenager or young adult or baby, you can be attuned and see what is their face saying, their body. Their tone of their noise or their voice or their words. What are they doing? What are they trying to communicate in their body language to you? Do they not feel safe? Are they desperately, do they feel scared? Do they feel sad? Do they feel angry? And just witness that with love and acceptance and say, it makes sense you're feeling this way, precious. And then listen to them. What are you hearing from them? What are they saying that they need or that is going on for them? And let them know that what happened to them was not their fault. They didn't deserve this. And as you do that and love them, as you do that and tune into them, you can ask them and say, what do you need from me to make you feel loved and cared for and connected? And they might not know because they're tiny and pre-verbal. And if you don't know, and you don't know what stages of development, I'm doing the Love You Needed Reparenting You Now course starting on Monday, where we will go through, I'll pop up the link, we'll go through each of the stages of development that look at what each child needed at that age. And then learn to grow those skills to give yourself that love that you always needed so that you're able to cherish you. And then you can see what are the skills that your parents didn't have capacity for. You know, I know for my grandfather, he was not brought up in a family that was affectionate or had a lot of time for each other. He hardly saw his own parents. And so when my mum was around, she was very much brought up in a children should be seen and not heard. And so that when I was sharing what I felt, she would get really frustrated because that's not how she grew up. She grew up to be sweet, smiley, and nice to get love. And I was not interested in that. I wanted to be authentic. So of course I got rejected because I wasn't fulfilling what she felt comfortable with, what she'd had to do all her life. So that's what I do to my inner child. Anytime that I feel off in life, that might happen, nearly every day at times when I'm going through stressful times, different parts of me will pop up. I was just sharing with somebody today of how as a child, what happened for me and how I care for that part of me now. And I want that for you too. I want these parts of you to feel loved and met so that you feel whole in yourself. But when we're starting to do this work, it can feel really, really scary. And I described how one of the things that I do is create a safe space for this child. One of the things about the safe space that I've really seen for so many clients is it needs to be a really welcoming safe space. So it's not passive and empty. It needs to be proactive safe space so that in life, when you feel unsafe, you're either able to confront it or you're able to move away and be responsive, because that's what would be the most healthy for you. But if we as a child, we're not rescued, we're not protected and cared for, then when we get into unsafe spaces, we often get frozen or we flood other people or run away from it and don't actually deal with the issue. The safer that we feel, the more able we are able to regulate. And then we can get safe in uncomfortableness as we confront and find our voice and share with others what we feel and what we need, so we don't get trapped in toxic relationships. I know for me, I have gone through that because I was abandoned emotionally as a child. And then I tend to go into people pleasing and abandon myself. And the more that I do inner child work, the more I'm able to say, I matter, my inner child matters. I might not do it for me as an adult, but I couldn't not love this inner child. I have to love this inner child and make this part of me feel so valued and cherished, because I didn't get that in the past. So I'm going to give it to myself now. And I so want you to give yourself that too. And part of that is growing this safe space where when you are safe, you are able to regulate and process what's there. But you need to be unsafe to be able to process your experiences that can be scary, rather than avoid everything, avoid big feelings, bypass them. Safety isn't about avoiding life and bypassing everything. It's about having the safety, the security, the strength in yourself to be able to honor you and ensure that you're being treated with love and kindness and care. So I'm curious, as you've listened to this, I'm curious through everything, as you notice this inner child as we're talking, I'm curious, what is your inner child here? And what is your inner child always wish that they had heard? As we get safer with our inner children, or our inner baby, our inner little toddler, our inner child, our inner tween, our inner teenager, and our young adult inside of us, it's worth seeing what the experience was for each one of these, and then seeing what each of them needed. On Monday, I'm going to be doing the Love You Needed Reparenting You Now course with the link there. And it's just such a beautiful course where I researched every stage of development, and I saw what is the sense of self that is growing at this stage, whether it's self-esteem, whether it's self-respect, whether it's self-concept, whether it's social concept of who you are. And then what was the parenting that stage child or infant or fetus or, I put my hand on my chest, that's not where a fetus is. In a fetus or in a teenager, what did they need at that stage in terms of parenting to blossom into the healthiest sense of self possible for that stage? And then I looked at the parenting that you could give yourself now to reparent that part of you. And what I'm doing this over the weekend is making meditations for each of these stages, from conception through to young adult, to add to it. And then next week, for those of you who've signed up, we will be every day, Monday to the following Monday, you'll get an email with the meditations, with the and then a bit about what the stage is about, and what sense of self you're growing at that stage, and what parenting you needed, and how you can parent yourself now, so that then you're able to see all these different parts of you. So one day when you wake up in a year or 2 years and you go, gosh, I feel so tiny, and you tune in, you go, I think I feel 6. I think it's 6 I feel. You can come to the program. You can see, for my 6-year-old, what does my 6-year-old need? And then you can give your 6-year-old, you can do the meditation with the 6-year-old, and you can go through what it needs and grow those skills for that precious 6-year-old. It might be that some days you feel enraged and you feel like somebody's engulfing you and crossing your boundaries, and you like, right, my inner teenager is wild here. And you can tune in and see, okay, let's do the meditation on the teenager and see what my inner teenager needs and the skills that I can develop. So while we will go through in the next week every one of these stages each day, you can say, for this week, I'm only going to work on my inner 12-year-old, and just focus on your inner 12-year-old and bring to the calls, talking about your inner 12-year-old. Or you can go through every day. It's a program that you can do in your own way so that you can get your needs met. The whole thing is just about you meeting you and loving you. If you've got any questions about it, let me know. I would love to be able to support you and answer your questions. If you'd like to join us, you can go to restoring.love/love21 and you'll get the details. I'd actually love to have you with us, and message me if you've got any questions to see if it's for you. I'm not somebody who's very pushy or salesy. I will let you know honestly if it's for you or not. But when you have the program, you have lifetime access to it. So 5 years down the line, if you are struggling in yourself and you're feeling outraged, you can check out whatever age it is that you're feeling, to be able to grow the skills to meet you over time. You might not have had a happy childhood, but you can give yourself the love now to create a happy childhood as an adult, so that you integrate this precious child that has always deserved love and care and goodness, so that that precious child knows that what happened to them was never their fault. They never deserved to be treated in a bad way, and they only ever deserved to be treated with love and care and goodness. So come and join us if you'd like to. Message me if you have any questions. And for those of you who have signed up, even if you've signed up previously, you will get to go through. We're going to have a new website and new meditations, and my customer-only group where you can share every day of what you are noticing for each stage of development, so that you can get yourself, you can engage with other people. We'd love to have you with us. And if I run this again, those of you who signed up will be able to join us again next time. All right, I'm sending you so much love, and we'll see you in the program. Bye.